She whispered just 6 words in Chinese, and it saved a billionaire's life. But what she revealed next shattered everything he thought he knew about his company, his past, and her. Stay with me, because this story will twist your soul, break your trust, and then rebuild your hope. Before we begin this powerful story, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you never miss our inspiring, life-changing content. If you enjoy stories that touch the heart and awaken the soul, like, share, and support this channel. This is more than just entertainment. Every story here carries a meaningful moral lesson that can inspire, heal, and uplift. She heard the guards whisper in Chinese, and warned the billionaire not to get in the car. I was not born with money. I was born behind a scrapyard in a forgotten district of Guangzhou. My father was a mechanic. My mother worked 3 jobs, sometimes 4. I grew up with the smell of oil, metal, and desperation in my lungs. Success was never promised to me. But hunger was certain. Hunger for food. Hunger for more. Hunger to get out. At age 12, I sold used bolts to factory workers. At 15, I could fix a carburetor blindfolded. At 17, I won a full scholarship to a tech university, after nearly collapsing from malnutrition during my final interview. They called me a genius. But no one saw the tremble in my hands from the exhaustion. By 22, I had built my first software prototype in a dorm with cracked walls and 1 window. No money. No investors. Just borrowed laptops and stolen time. The world was not waiting for me. It was moving ahead like a train I could barely catch. But then came her. Her name was Lina. She was the assistant to a potential investor. Just a face in the meeting room, quiet, invisible. But when the investor laughed in my face and called my pitch village logic, she slipped me her card beneath the table. I still remember her handwriting. Soft, slanted, kind. You are not wrong. You are early. That night, I sat in my hostel staring at her words, while my last bowl of rice cooled untouched. She met me the next day. No makeup. No lies. Just honesty. She said her brother was in rural tech. She had saved money, only a small amount. But she wanted to help. I asked her why. She said, "Because you look like someone who will either build an empire, or die trying. And I cannot sleep knowing you were alone when you tried." We built together. She translated. She cooked. She worked night shifts to pay for my server space. She became my partner, my mirror, my storm, and my calm. We lived on peanuts and code. We slept on floors. We fought with landlords. We laughed in the dark, whispering dreams as if speaking too loudly would scare them away. 3 years later, we launched. It was messy. It was imperfect. But it worked. People noticed. They asked for meetings. VCs called. Suddenly, I was being flown to Singapore, Hong Kong, San Francisco. Fame tasted like burnt sugar. Sweet and strange. Money came fast. Faster than I could count. And with it, power. And danger. It started with the gifts. Then the dinner invitations. Then the whispers. One evening, I was to meet a new investor from a powerful mainland conglomerate. They sent a black car to pick me up. I was about to step in, when Lina grabbed my wrist. Her eyes were wide, but not afraid. Focused. Cold. She leaned close and whispered, "The guards, they just said in Mandarin, he will not make it past the river." My blood turned to ice. I looked into the car. Tinted glass. Driver not speaking. Doors already unlocked. I turned around. 2 men in suits. No badges. No smiles. I stepped back. The car door slammed shut without anyone touching it. Lina gripped my hand tighter. I did not ask her how she understood. I already knew. Her mother was Han. Her father was Hakka. She had grown up hearing every dialect, every hidden tone. We ran that night. Not away from our dream, but toward a safer version of it. But the empire I had built, it was not safe anymore. And what came next? It tested everything. My loyalty. My ambition. Even my love for her. Because what I discovered inside my own company was far darker than I had ever imagined. And the one person who had saved my life would be the one I would be forced to suspect.
I did not sleep that night.
I sat by the window, watching the city flicker like broken pixels. Lina paced the room behind me, her arms folded tightly across her chest.
She spoke little.
But her silence was not peace. It was the silence of someone who knew too much, and had carried it alone for too long. By morning, I had received 47 missed calls, 24 emails, messages marked urgent and critical. And then came the one that chilled me. It was from my chief technical officer. Just 5 words. You need to see this. He did not send a file. He sent a location. I told Lina to stay behind. She refused. I did not argue. There were things I knew how to fight. And there were things only she could see through. We arrived at an old co-working hub I had used in the early days. Dust covered the walls like faded ambition. The CTO stood at the door, hands trembling, not from cold. From fear. He opened his laptop, turned it to me. No words. Only code. I read line after line. Strings of familiar architecture. My own creation, twisted. Our AI engine had been altered. Not once. Not twice. But systematically, over months. Each change subtle. Each one bypassing ethics flags. Each one tracing back to a server. Not in China. Not in the US. But in a small island, owned by a shell company. My name was on the ownership papers. But I had never signed them. I turned to Lina. Her face was pale. Then she pointed. A single variable. Renamed in Cantonese slang. Blind Tiger. She whispered. That was my father's code name when he was in cyber counterintelligence. I blinked. What are you saying? She swallowed hard. Her voice cracked. I think someone from my family or someone using my past has embedded themselves in your empire. I stood up. The air felt thin. Everything I had built, everything I had bled for, had a rot at its roots. And the only person who could help me uncover it might also be the only person left who had reason to hide the truth. We left the building without a word. Her fingers brushed mine, but did not hold them. Not like before. That night, I opened the locked drawer in my home office. Inside was an old envelope. Yellowed. Torn. It had been sent anonymously a year ago. I had ignored it, dismissed it as paranoia. Now, I opened it. Inside was a single Polaroid photo. A man standing in front of a server rack. Wearing a jacket. With my company's logo. And behind him, an unmistakable figure. Half hidden in the shadows. But I knew that face. Lina. Smiling. Watching. Like she belonged there. I dropped the photo. The floor tilted beneath me. Was she protecting me? Or had she been sent to watch me from the start? I stared at the photo until my eyes blurred. My heartbeat was no longer steady. It pounded like a warning drum deep in my chest. I picked up the picture again, brought it close to the light. The timestamp on the bottom corner. It was from 3 years ago. Before our official launch. Before our first real investor. Before Lina ever claimed to meet me. My throat tightened. A bitter taste rose from my stomach. Had I been the fool in my own story? The knock on my office door came soft. Too soft. It was her. She stepped inside without waiting for permission. She looked at the Polaroid in my hand. She did not flinch. She did not ask how I found it. She simply said, I was hoping you would never see that. I stood still. Like stone. My voice was barely mine when I asked, Who are you, Lina? She exhaled slow. Sat down on the floor, not the chair. Like someone preparing to confess at an altar. My name is not Lina, she said quietly. My real name is Lu Mei. And I was assigned to you, long before you ever knew my face. The words crashed over me. Not like a wave. Like a building collapsing. I was told to watch you, she continued. To track your progress. To steer your decisions. to ensure your technology served our interests.
I could not speak. Every cell in my body wanted to scream. But I lied, she added. For the first time in my life, I lied to them.
Because somewhere along the way, I stopped being the watcher. And I started being the woman who believed in you. Her eyes brimmed with tears. But she did not let them fall. I saved you from that car because I love you. And because they wanted you gone once you stopped being useful. But it is too late now. They know you are awake.
I dropped into the chair. Shaken. Silent.
So many questions tore through me. So many betrayals unspoken. She stood, walked toward me slowly. I can help you disappear.
We can run. Or we can fight.
But you must decide tonight. Outside, a black car passed slowly.
Unmarked. Watching.
My empire was no longer just mine. My future was tied to a woman I could not fully trust.
But still, could not let go. And in that moment,
as my entire world crumbled around me, I understood something clearly for the first time. Sometimes, the person who saves you is also the reason you are in danger.
But sometimes, that same person
is the only one willing to burn with you, just to make sure the truth survives. I rose slowly. The weight of everything she had said clung to my chest like iron chains. Outside, the city lights blinked. But the warmth they once gave me felt artificial now.
I turned to her.
Her eyes were calm, steady. She was not begging for forgiveness.
She was offering war. Why me? I asked.
My voice sounded hollow. Why was I chosen?
She looked away.
Her fingers trembled slightly as she reached into her coat pocket. She pulled out an old, creased photograph. A boy with scraped knees and dirt on his cheeks. A woman behind him, holding a welding torch in one hand, and a notebook in the other.
My mother, she whispered.
She was like your mother.
A builder. A dreamer. But she died.
Because the system chewed her up and spat her out.
She looked at me again.
I saw something in you.
The same fire.
The same refusal to be broken. I thought, if I could protect your fire, maybe hers would not have died for nothing. Tears blurred my vision. For a moment, I wanted to believe her. I wanted to forget the lies. I wanted to erase the pain. But trust, once fractured, does not heal overnight. Especially when the scars run this deep. The power I had accumulated. It had become a prison. My face was on magazine covers. My name whispered in boardrooms. But I no longer knew who was speaking truth. And who was waiting to knife me from the shadows. I walked to my desk. Opened the encrypted laptop only I had access to. Typed in a sequence I had never used before. A protocol I had written in a moment of paranoia. For a day I had hoped would never come. Lina, no Lume, watched me in silence. She did not interrupt. She understood. The screen blinked. A map appeared. Flashing nodes. Every server. Every gateway. Every backdoor, open, traced, vulnerable. And one node. Pulsing red. Hong Kong. An old server we had decommissioned 2 years ago. Supposedly wiped. But it was alive. And someone was using it now. My voice was firm. I need to go there. She stepped forward. If you go alone, you will not come back. I am not asking, I said. But my voice cracked at the edge. She placed a hand on my shoulder. Warm. Steady. Familiar. Like it had been before all this. Then I will come with you, she said. And I will show you everything. Even if it means destroying the only family I have ever known. And just like that, the man who built an empire from scraps and fire, and the woman sent to betray him, became two fugitives, searching for the truth in a city of shadows. As we boarded the midnight flight, I looked at her one last time before the cabin lights dimmed. Tell me one thing, I asked. Is there anyone else inside my company still working against me? She hesitated, then nodded. Yes. And you are not going to like who it is. We landed in Hong Kong under the weight of silence. The city buzzed around us, alive, unaware, indifferent. But I had never felt so alert.
So exposed.
And beside me, Lu Mei walked like a woman at war with her own blood. She led me through alleyways only locals would know. Past neon signs that flickered above steaming street food stalls. Down into the underbelly of a tech district built on secrets. We stopped at a nondescript building.
A forgotten telecom hub.
On the 7th floor, behind a rusted steel door, was the server room.
It was cold.
Loud. The hum of machines echoed like distant thunder. She entered a code I did not know.
The door unlocked. Inside, the red server. Still pulsing.
She walked over, opened the terminal. Typed furiously. She was not just helping.
She knew this place.
Intimately.
And then, she froze. I stepped forward. On the screen. My name.
My identity.
Cloned. Sold.
Over 200 data points feeding a black market AI model. My thoughts, voice, behavioral patterns. Being used to manipulate markets, governments, even currencies.
Behind it all.
My former chief legal officer. Someone I had trusted. Someone who had quietly built a shell empire using my likeness. And I had never seen it. Not because I was blind. But because I had stopped asking questions once I tasted success. I looked at Lu Mei. She stared at the code like it was an obituary. My father built this, she whispered. Before he vanished. And in that moment, I understood. We were not enemies. We were the same. Children of broken dreams. Fighters who had inherited both brilliance and betrayal. I placed my hand over hers. Let us shut it down. Together. And we did. One command at a time. We wiped the servers. Killed the access. Tracked the trails. And turned it all over to the international watchdogs.
It took months. Testimonies. Investigations. Courtrooms. But justice came. Slow. Imperfect. But it came.
Lu Mei disappeared after the final trial.
No goodbyes. No promises.
Only a letter, left at my door. You gave me something no one ever did. The freedom to choose who I become.
Do not look for me. Just live.
And build something no one can steal. With love, always May. Years have passed now. My empire is smaller.
But it is honest. Clean. Human.
And every time I see a young man walking with calloused hands and tired eyes, I remember who I was. And I silently hope he finds someone like her. Someone who dares to love deeply. And sacrifice quietly. Even when it hurts.
Moral lesson.
Success built on lies will always collapse under truth. But love, when it is real, can survive betrayal.
Heal wounds.
And teach even the most broken of us
how to begin again.
Do not chase power if it costs you your soul. Build with integrity. Love with courage. And never forget, it is not who you were sent to become. It is who you choose to be. Thank you for listening to this heartfelt story. If it moved you, share it, comment below, and let someone know. You are never alone.